guys, I'm Linda.
And I'm Vicky.
And we are
Partners in Crime.
Just going to do a little housekeeping here. If you can, subscribe. We'd really love to have you as one of our viewers. And click on the notification bell and you'll be notified every time we upload a video. And please comment. We have the most amazing people that watch our videos and comment and are subscribed. So we would love you to join our family and friends. We'd really appreciate it. And today we're going to talk about day 2 of Chad's preliminary hearing. So what do we have for day 2, Vicky?
Well, it wasn't quite as long as the first day, but Melanie Gibb took up a big part of that.
She was being cross-examined
by Pryor, who, again, I thought was pretty much a bully to her. I don't think she was as cool as she was the first day. And by being cool, I mean held it together. She didn't react to anything that he may have said. And I think he objected to a lot of things.
Yeah, he was objecting left. Well, was he objecting? No, Wood was objecting left and right because Pryor kept saying stuff that just didn't matter.
Yeah, he said
and
things.
being argumentative
very
and that sort of thing. Yeah.
And David, her boyfriend, was also called to the witness stand. And he has a hearing deficiency. And boy, did Pryor make fun of him. He just demeaned him for that, you know, and making it seem like he was intentionally not hearing correctly.
Right.
And
he asked the same questions to Melanie when he first started talking to her. Do you have any reason? Do you have any hearing loss? Do you have any reason why you can't understand what we're saying? And I'm like, do you ask people that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Do you have any mental problems?
Yeah, he was just rude.
It's just awful.
But he did do the same thing to David. He was asking him the same thing. So we found it interesting how Melanie stood up to her for herself. I know you remember a lot of that.
Well, I thought she was pretty good about, you know, not flying off the handle to him. But I thought the second day of the interview, she was a little bit more flustered. Not that she didn't control what she was saying, but you could see that she was a little bit more irritated, I guess, by him. And like, who wouldn't be?
Yeah. We can understand why.
Now, who was I watching? Oh, Scott Reich. And he was saying, yeah, he thought Pryor was a good defense attorney because it isn't his first rodeo either. And he knew what he was doing.
Okay. That's what his job is, to try to get people
that
faster.
is his job. And he said he was doing a good job of it. Scott had said in all of his days of defending people that he's met people that were much worse.
Okay.
They had, you know, stronger tactics to intimidate people. So, you know, that was Scott Wright's opinion.
Yeah.
But now that Lori has vacated the preliminary hearing, it's going to be very interesting from this point on.
I was curious to see, and I asked Vicky to see if she could find anything about a deal being made with the prosecution, because I did read up on it a little bit, and they did say that that could be a reason why they waived the preliminary.
It could be, but I believe that they'll wait until the actual arraignment for that to be disclosed, or right before it.
Do you think she doesn't have money? Maybe that's why she figured, why should I pay for this when it's just going to not go my way anyway?
Where are they getting the money?
I don't know.
You know, even David, where's he getting the money for this attorney? They're not doing it for free.
Right.
And
there's a lot of publicity that could also be Maybe they're not getting charged as much.
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. When when Lori and Chad had their conversation when she was in jail and calling him when he was watching the FBI dig up his yard, he had said, you should probably call Mr. Means. Mr. Means is her attorney.
Yes.
There was some conflict, they thought, in the fact that he had represented Chad initially with Lori. He denied that. And apparently they had private hearings to discuss that. But he told her that he had talked to Mr. Means. She asked him, did you speak to him? And he said, yes, I did. So why? Is he also speaking to him?
Well, I think at that point he was still his lawyer.
No.
It wasn't?
No.
When they were digging up the yard? Because they didn't charge him yet. He was still...
Maybe you're right.
Okay. I could be wrong, but I think he might still be... Might have still... Because Pryor wasn't his lawyer until he was in jail.
Okay.
As far as I've seen him with him, he was in jail.
But that even means that he had more to do with Chad than what he's claiming he had. Because, it was a conflict of interest in attorney world about how you shouldn't represent people on both sides.
Right.
And he was saying that he did not. But apparently...
Well, they were saying, and I know Scott Reich was saying this when I watched him when this was going on, and he said that because Chad divulged stuff to Mark Means, so if he's now Lori's lawyer, he can, because he is representing Lori alone now, he can use some of what Chad told him.
That's a conflict.
I don't know if that's the case, but that was the reason why they were talking about him representing both of them at some point. When David was on the stand, there were a couple things that I thought was kind of curious. First, they were talking about, they all met up at this piece of land that was near Chad's house. And Chad wanted David to purchase this land. David and Chad had known each other for 5 years. They say in circles. They knew each other. They knew about each other. When David got off the stand, I don't know if anybody caught this, but the defense attorney Pryor said thank you for your time, and Chad kind of did...
in this case. Thank you very much, Mr. Warwick. I appreciate it.
Any redirect, Mr. Wood?
There's something between those two, that he made that gesture to be like, thank you.
Maybe he was implying that David wasn't giving the information that he could by saying he couldn't hear.
I don't know if it's that, or because he did have a hearing aid. I did when he sat down. He did,
and they gave him the headphones to try to hear with.
Yeah.
During the trial.
I just watched that. If you have that, or you can watch the video, watch Chad when his defense attorney says thank you to David, and Chad does this. That just caught me when I saw that, and knowing that they knew each other for 5 years, that he wanted him to buy a piece of land near them. I think there's something more there. I really think there's something more there. So David was also, we're talking about Melanie a lot, and how she should have said something. Well, David was there too. And I'm sure Melanie had talked to him, if they are boyfriend and girlfriend, about a lot of this stuff.
But David did use the zombie word.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
And she did not.
Okay.
And I believe it came up when Pryor said, what did you notice? What was going on there? And he said, well, JJ was climbing the cabinets and kitchen.
They would have heard that. I'm sorry, but when there's a lot, and Lori would have been like, get down from there. This stuff you would have heard if you were in a townhouse.
Well, she told David and Melanie that he was being a zombie.
Right, but David and Melanie said they didn't know anything about it. You would have heard that disruption if JJ was jumping on the counters, going on top of the refrigerator, knocking down a picture of Jesus. Lori would have been yelling at him, or at least trying to get his attention, and they didn't hear any of this. I know, well, okay, David's a little hard of hearing, but I lived in a townhouse. You hear a lot. So it would have been very hard for them not to hear a commotion like that.
Right.
So again, it's another thing that you conveniently don't see anything wrong with certain things. I think it's very convenient that you didn't put two and two together when people started dying and they can't find the kids.
Right.
Another thing, and I think this was, it was on day 2 when Pryor was talking to Melanie about her relationship with Tylee.
Yeah.
What was that about?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. Was he trying to set something up where it looked like Melanie might have had something to do with, hurting those kids?
I don't know. I really don't understand that one.
I don't know. And she said, well,
I didn't really know her.
I don't know what Tylee thought of me, but I didn't have a lot of interaction. She didn't have a lot of interaction with her. Yeah,
and she's a teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know where he was going with that. That was my only thought, that he's maybe trying to set it up so it looked more like she had done something.
I'm sure Chad kind of had him do that.
Maybe.
Told him some stuff.
Maybe.
So that was different too.
Yeah, that was really strange. But he was strange.
Yeah. And then they were talking about, again, they were talking to some forensic people, and yeah, there was just a lot.
Well, Pryor didn't have a lot to say to I believe it's Mr. Lay, who did a lot of the forensic technical stuff, because he couldn't.
Right.
It was definitely technical things that are what they are. You can't dispute it. It is what it is. And he could analyze that information exactly. And, he didn't really have a lot to bully him about.
Right. How about the one FBI guy that got the one about the raccoon, the text? So they were talking, and I apologize, I don't remember his name. He was a young guy.
And the one right after the other, so I can't remember.
He was a young guy, and he was talking about the patterns that people, he said when, this was more than they've texted to each other, Tammy and Chad, in all the time. I think you look back to 2017. So the pattern was, real quick, love you, pick up this, the usual stuff that husband and wives do when they're texting each other. Not really in-depth conversations. So he said, and then all of a sudden he's explaining himself in a detailed way, which never happened before. So that's what got him into looking at other things, and I guess maybe putting together the cell phone pings and.
Right, I think it had a lot to do with the raccoon story. That he.
Yeah, because they never corresponded that way by text
and she
for
had said,
years.
Tammy had responded to him, well, good for you.
That's what she does, because, so that's what got him to start looking further into that specific time frame. So that was interesting. I thought that they can look at patterns, and people do the same things. You don't realize it, but you're just going about your day, and the same things happen over and over, And when it comes to crimes, things change. The patterns change, just like they were talking about with Alex never being at Lori's that late in the evening.
Yeah, that was, really
Yeah.
suspicious.
But then they also said, I believe this was the first day, and I apologize for putting this in this video, but they were talking about the apartments and how Alex and Lori pretty much lived in the same, well, they're not apartments, they're townhouses, but lived in the same townhouse. And the townhouse that Lori had put a lease on or signed a lease for was 107, I believe. I believe that was hers. That looked like it was vacant. And everything was in this 157, I believe. I'll get that. I have that information here.
But speaking of that, what's really interesting is how Alex followed Lori all over the place, and how close they were.
Yeah.
What kind of relationship did they really have?
Yeah, that's crazy too.
Yeah, who follows their sibling everywhere like
Right.
that?
Yeah.
It's so strange.
175 was apparently Alex's, but that's where everything was. 174 is Melanie Boudreaux's. And I wish I could remember the detective. I'll put it on the screen. The detective, he was at both hearings. I think he really took this under his wing and really wants to get justice for the kids. He was talking about they did have search warrants, and they were surveilling the house. So they know the comings and goings, and they probably did see that everybody was centered on that 175 and not the house that Lori had rented.
Yeah.
So that's strange too.
And, talk about Melanie Boudreaux and Alex and Lori all congregating together, moving to the same area. It might have been because they really believed that Lori was supposed to gather people for the second
Right.
coming of Jesus and the end of days.
Right.
And it could be that's why they all congregated in that area, because they had said, Lori and Chad had said, what was the number? The
144,000.
144,000 needed to be together in tents on the land or
Yeah.
around Rexburg, Idaho.
That would be why David is supposed to buy land, I guess. Melanie did say in the interview with Nate Eaton that I saw, it was only about 7 minutes, and she did say that she thought it was August, and she didn't say that it was going to be the end of the world. It would just be the start of something.
I've heard her say that before,
Yeah.
where she said she didn't know where that July 22nd date came from. That it was
came from Lori.
supposed to be something happening in August. Yeah, so.
But it just gets stranger and stranger the more we hear about all this stuff.
Right.
Something that they did talk about in the first day also was a Wynn Hill from BYU, Idaho. And he looked at the records for every student that went there, every student that registered, every student that applied. And they could not find Tylee Ryan, Tylee Vallow, Tylee Cox. None of those names were ever in those registers.
Right, and that's
So,
relating to the fact that Lori said Tylee was there. So they did call him as a witness to say, I don't know, we don't have any record of her.
yep.
So, another lie of Lori's.
Yeah. So we won't be able to see her pretty face next week. She's another one. When she wants to get loud, she can get loud for sure. When she's complaining about everybody coming to see her and blah, 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 blah. But yet she just sounds so meek and mild when they're like, do you understand that you're waving your right? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, just get over yourself. But
Yeah.
we'll have to wait, and I'm sure more things will come out, and as soon as we hear that murder charges are being filed, definitely have to say something.
I'm so worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they file murder charges, there's going to have to be preliminary hearings now to produce the evidence for murder charges.
Mm-hmm.
And whether they can really go on with that. So
They keep saying they have time. They have time to do this because they're somewhere. They're not going anywhere now. So they have time to put everything together and not miss anything. So they know that they're in jail and they can't go anywhere. So that's why they're not too concerned about that.
I hope it isn't too far away because I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah. I know.
It's just, unbelievable.
Yeah, they also talked about when they were talking to Melanie and David about how many times Chad was there. Chad was at Lori's home in Arizona in 2018, was it? Or 2019, 9/22, before Tammy even died, and he shows up because they did have something in that area, but he was at Lori's house, and Melanie was talking about how they acted like they were an Eidam and they had a relationship.
And Melanie did bring that out in her phone call to them.
Mm-hmm. And then Lori tried to turn it on her. What that means, I don't know, about her being with someone that isn't divorced yet. So, and she said, we're not talking about that, are we?
Yeah.
So again, those women, the way they were talking to each other, I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So, what else do you
think? Melanie Gibb was coming off like in a very spiritual way.
Mm-hmm.
Because she kept bringing up scriptures and quotes from scriptures and and I'm not LDS, so I don't understand all of it. But the players, the people
that they follow,
and that were in the Mormon Bible, whatever it's called. So
the Book of Mormon.
The Book of Mormon. Thank you. So, Melanie Gibb really does have this spiritual side that she wanted to convey to Lori in that phone call.
Right. And Lori knows her scriptures too,
She
though.
She does.
So she came right back at her with what she knows about it. But it basically, Melanie was trying to say, you guys are just concerned about
being together.
Yep. And not doing the right thing. And
Chad said in his they played the tape from the jailhouse.
Oh, that was yesterday. That was the second day.
That was the second day.
Yes.
And his demeanor when he was talking to Melanie on the phone was kind of upbeat. Hi, hon, how are you? I'm putting this on speaker. He was really, didn't sound like he had a care.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the conversation that Melanie taped that she had with Chad and Lori.
Right.
The phone call.
Yeah, they weren't in jail.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
Sorry, no, they weren't in jail. Melanie just wanted to
bring out
tape this conversation.
Yeah.
Record this conversation. Showing my age with tape.
I know what tapes are too.
But anyway, but then there was another audio of Chad and Lori talking to each other. She's in jail. He's not.
Right.
And she called him. And when she called him, his demeanor was so different.
Yes.
He was so forlorn, and because while she's having this conversation with him, they're searching. The FBI is searching and digging up
That was June 9th. Yes.
his backyard. And you could hear it in his voice that he was very worried and down about it. And I don't know whether she was playing it cool or whether she knew it was being recorded.
Yeah, she couldn't say much because that would implicate her. It did seem though she didn't question, well, why are they there?
Exactly.
What are they there for? What could they possibly find? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
He was saying to her, they're in the property, they're searching the property. And she was like, well, where, in the house? And he's like, no, they're out in the property. And she's like, oh, are they seizing things?
yeah, she knew what was
knew.
there.
And what Linda said is absolutely right. Why didn't she say, what are they doing? What are
Yeah.
they looking for
What
back
could
there?
they find there?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
but
I guess that's all we can
I
really
think so too.
talk about today. There'll
Yeah.
be more to come, I'm sure,
Yeah.
that we'll be able to bring you.
Yep. So stay tuned, and until next time.
Have some wine.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.